Hi, this is Cameron back again with another comic book finds video, number 3. And this time I'm going to feature 24 different comics I've picked up in the past week or so. And again, I just remind you that I'm a more of a reader than a collector for investment purposes. So a lot of my books are sort of VG and less because I don't want to pay the big money for near mint copies. So the variety of comics I'm going to feature are produced or printed by different companies like DC, Dell, Harvey, as well as a few other publishers. To start off, I have Adventure Comics number 370 from 1968 with the Legion of Superheroes against Mordru the Sorcerer. And what's interesting is that this one has includes in the Legion Insect Queen, which is Lana Lang, Superboy's girlfriend from when he was in Smallville. So again, this is Adventure Comics 370 from 1968. Next up is Captain Action number 2 from 1969, and there were 5 issues of Captain Action, and they featured adaptations of the toy Captain Action that was produced in the mid 60s, in which he was different than a lot of other toys, like the size of a G.I. Joe, I believe 12 inches, in which he would have different superhero costumes that he could change into. So this is Captain Action number 2, and it's written by Jim Shooter and artwork by Gil Kane. Okay, third book is from House of Mystery, number 162 from 1966. And this features Dial H for Hero, Robbie Reed, in which he would dial a like a telephone, a rotary telephone without the receiver, and he could become any variety of different superheroes with different superpowers. And in the backup of this issue, there's John Jones' Martian Manhunter, or Manhunter from Mars. Okay, fourth one is Metal Men number 47 from 1976, put out by DC as well. So Metal Men first appeared in Showcase Comics 1962. They had their own series throughout most of the 1960s. And so these were robots that were created by Dr. Will Magnus. For example, gold, iron, platinum, tin, lead, and iron, if I didn't say it, and also mercury. And they had their own distinct personalities. So they were always seen as being a failed experiment because they were not obedient to their creator, but rather had their own life, and they would be in different adventures against different villains, in which they'd have to come together and beat these villains. Sometimes they were destroyed by the end of the story, but then Dr. Magnus somehow was able to recreate them. So this is Metal Men number 47. When the series started again in 1976, and here it is. Next up, one of my favorite series from the 1960s is Sugar and Spike. This is number 73 from 1976, written by Sheldon Meyer, or created by Sheldon Meyer. And it started in 1956 and went till 1971, and features the stories of 2 babies that are not yet able to speak English. They communicate with each other and with other babies, such as animals, using child talk. So the stories are always written from the perspective of the babies or small toddlers rather than from their parents. And this is number 73 from 1967. It's got a little bit of writing on the cover, but I wanted to read the story. So maybe in a future episode of Comic Book Finds, I will present all of my Sugar and Spike collection. Okay, next up is an issue of The Unexpected, number 199 from 1980, put out by DC. This is a vampire story, but it's not part of the later I, Vampire series, which was very popular. So, Unexpected by DC, 1980, number 199. Then I also got one last DC comic in this pickup, and it was Weird War Tales number 69, which came out in 1978 by DC. The series was published from 1971 to 1983, but this particular issue is from 1978. Weird War Tales mixes horror with war stories. Now, moving on to some Dell comics. So, Dell comics have a lot of movie movie adaptations, TV to adaptations. They have all the Disney titles, as well as a number of other comics that are aimed at younger kids. This particular one is Dell Giant number 45, featuring Nancy and Sluggo Summer Camp, and this came out in 1961. Originally, people said it was written and art done by John Stanley, who's better known for Little Lulu, but in fact, it's doubtful that he originally was involved with it, and the actual creators of this story are not known. It's a giant issue, so it costs 25 cents. And again, this came out in 1961 by Dell Comics. Next up are 2 issues of Edgar Rice Burroughs' Tarzan, put out by Dell Comics. The first one is from 1953. It's number 44, with art by Jesse Marsh. And Dell put out Tarzan comics from 1948 to 1962. And they were followed up by publications by Gold Key in DC with the same numbering, the continuation of the same numbering. So this is number 44 from 1953. You can see it's got some writing on the cover. It's a reader copy. Next up is my second issue of Edgar Burroughs' Tarzan that I picked up. This is from 1960, number 120. It also has Jesse March artwork. I have quite a number of Dell's and Gold Key Tarzan comics, and maybe again I'll feature them in a future episode of my DC or of my comic finds. Okay, so another giant issue by Dell Comics is Tom and Jerry's Winter Fun, and these are the MGM cartoon characters that we not Warner Brothers. It was I don't remember who the company was. MGM. That's right, MGM. Tom and Jerry's Winter Fun, and it is from 1956. It's a Canadian edition. That's why it's 30 cents rather than 25 cents. Next, based on a cartoon, a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, which was based upon a real life group of basketball players who I saw in person when I was a kid when they visited the Winnipeg Arena in the early mid 70s. Harlem Globetrotters, so Hanna-Barbera's Harlem Globetrotters. This is number 7 from 1973, and the series had 12 issues from 1972 to 1975. Next up, one of the original Disney creations, Mickey Mouse. So Mickey Mouse was originally put out by Dell Comics, but this is the continuation of the series by Gold Key. So starting in 1962, Gold Key put out a lot of the Disney character comics. So Mickey Mouse appears with Goofy. This is number 149 from 1974. And then a follow-up issue just called Mickey Mouse, Walt Disney Mickey Mouse. And this is number 199 that came out in 1979. And this one is actually made up of reprints, whereas the previous issue was not reprints. Art by, I believe it's Paul Murray is the name. Okay, so I have a Tarzan of the Apes Gold Key comic from 1971. It's number 203. Like the Dell Comics, the writer was Gaylord Dubois, but the art is no longer Jesse Marsh. It's by Paul Norris. So number 203, 1971. Gotta get my notes ready. I can't remember all this off the top of my head. Next up from 1965 is Total War number 2. Features the Mars Patrol, and the series continued on after this until 1969, up to number 10 as Mars Patrol Total War. But this one's just called Total War. It's number 2 from 1965 with Dan Adkins and Wally Wood art. One of my favorite series is Turok, Son of Stone. So Turok first appeared. It's two indigenous fellows who got lost in another on the other side of a mountain or whatever, with a prehistoric land, prehistoric like cavemen, Neanderthals, other ancient men, as well as dinosaurs and other animals that are prehistoric. Here I have a Gold Key comic, number 126 from 1981. The series ran up to 1982. So this was put out by Whitman rather than Gold Key. But it's, I'm not sure of the whole relationship between Whitman and Gold Key, but a number of comics that were Gold Key also were published at the same time by Whitman. The Whitmans were the ones that you could get at the department stores in comic bag or in bags full of 3 comics for a lower price. And also, I know the final issues from the Gold Key series were put out by Whitman under the Whitman imprint. So this is Turok, Son of Stone from 1981, number 126. And of course, it's a classic dinosaur cover. Next up, this time, it is a Warner Brothers character, Yosemite Sam with Bugs Bunny. So it's Yosemite Sam number 27 from 1975. The series ran from 1970 to 1983, but this is in the mid-period, number 27, 1975. Okay, I got a modern comic Vampirilla of Draculon. I got it because I like the character Vampirilla, which was originally put out starting 1969 until 1983 by Warren Publishers. It stopped production and has come out in a few different other editions by more modern imprints. In this case, by Harris Publishers. It's Vampirilla number 3 from 1996. Now some Harvey comics to wrap up my comic book finds video. First of all, Little Dot. This is number 91 from 1964. And the series of Little Dot appeared from 1953 to 1976. I looked up who were the creators of the stories, and they just have question marks on the comics database, Grand Comics database page. So these are aimed at the youngest readers, young children. They're simple stories, fun stories. They're very innocent. So Little Dot, number 91, 1964. So the premise of Little Dot is all of the stories, revolve around Little Dot's fixation with dots. She likes dots, and so she wants to make everything out of dots. Next up is Spooky, the Tough Little Ghost, number 78, and this is from 1964. So he likes spooking people, but he's innocent too. He's not nasty. He's just a little bit mischievous. And Spooky was put out by Harvey from 1965 to 1980. This particular one is number 78 from 1964. Oh, pardon me, it started in 1955 to 1980. Wendy the Good Little Witch. So this is a very kind witch, young witch who wants to be friends with everybody. And in this particular cover, she's flying on a witch broom with Casper the Friendly Ghost. So very similar story to Casper, where she's just trying to do good turns for people. This is number 26 from 1964. Wendy the Good Little Witch came out from 1960 to 1990. And then there was an interruption in the series, I believe, from 1983 to about 1989. Next up is another issue of Wendy the Good Little Witch. This is number 51. It came out in 1968. And finally, another title featuring Wendy the Good Little Witch. This is called Wendy Witch World. It was a giant size series, so 25 cents rather than the typical 15 cents at the time. This is number 35 from 1970. The series came out from 1961 to, I don't have the end date, I'm sorry, but this came out number 35 in 1970. I hope you liked this Comic Book Finds video. Please make your comments, share the video, and please subscribe. Have a great day. Talk to you all very soon. Bye-bye.